you acquire from precision agriculture. So that is implementing artificial intelligence models, etc. So I wrote a chapter if you're interested in what is the applications of artificial intelligence in agriculture, specifically in viticulture, but it can be applied to any other crops. And that is dealing with climate change scenarios, which is climatic anomalies like droughts, frost, heat waves, plant diseases, and forest fires. So we do a lot of research in smoke taint in wine. So how to prevent it, how to monitor it in real time. And you know, in 2020 was the biggest bushfires in the history of Australia. And a lot of companies, wineries, they were confronted with bushfires and smoke taint. The only way to know the level of smoke taint is getting some bunches and send it to a lab. So you can imagine that all the labs that they do those analyses were clogged. So probably you had the analysis after a month or 2 months, and it's just Sentinel plants that you can send samples. It's $100 per sample. So it's really expensive. So we're trying to develop technologies that the growers, they can implement in their own vineyards and then their own wineries. I did this application probably more than 20 years ago. This is to monitor soil wearing patterns underground. That was one of the main questions from the growers 20 years ago. How I monitor the displacement of water and nutrients in my root zone and try to see from where the plant is uptaking those. So that was the main question. So I developed this software that is with soil moisture sensors, and it was bought 20 years ago by Sentech, which is a company based in Adelaide, and it distributes sensors in more than 58 countries around the world. And I was happy to see a post in LinkedIn 3 months ago that they're still using it. So I should have negotiated better because I just sold it. So yeah, so that is one of the big, earliest technologies. And when I present this in NASA, for some reason they were really interested in this technology, mainly because they want to monitor how the root zone in crops in space. That they have 3D printing holders for the root zone because they need. Usually in the field, the roots grow where the water is. There is a misconception that the roots look for water, but they don't have brains, obviously. They grow where the water is. So in space, in microgravity, they need to actually direct the roots towards the water and hold it. So that's why they were really interested in this technology. We do applications, as I said, in animals as well. So we do a lot of biometrics and recognition using deep learning for cattle and dairy cows, for example, and to obtain biometrics like heart rate, body temperature, respiration rate to assess heat, stress, and many other stress, and the effect in productivity, for example, on milk or meat, beef, etc. And this is one of the applications that we did is for pets, dogs and cats, is to assess their behavior and stress levels as well. But one of the applications is a company contacted us is trying to see the energy consumption of animals. So if you have pets, for example, I'm pretty sure that you give them meals like 2 portions every morning, like I do, morning, afternoon, and evening, and then regardless of the activity that they have in the day. Is it? So this app basically monitors the activity as, for example, a Fitbit that you can have, and according to that activity, it portions the food. So it prevents a lot of diseases in dogs. Dogs, they don't die. Pets, they don't die of age. They die of the diseases that they have, and overfeeding them usually produce kidney disease, heart disease, or liver disease. So that is something to consider. If you have this app, you can prolong your pet life for 5 to 10 years, so they can live longer. But you can apply to your livestock as well, so to assess stress levels and try to mitigate those stress levels as well. This is another app that I'm not going to talk much, but it's been used all around the world. I developed this one in 2014, and it went beta version until 2021, which went commercial. And there was a review paper from colleagues, and I don't know them, which is they say that it's the most widely used wine app for canopy management, which is a recognition of a kind. So yes, it's going strong. And we developed sensors like these electronic nodes, which is an array of 9 different sensors. So it can be used to assess aroma profiles of wines, beers, to detect faults in wines and beers using artificial intelligence, for smoke taint detection in grapes, in wine, in the whole process, and to assess pest and diseases detection, early pest and disease detection. And it can be a payload in UAVs or drones to fly at low altitude flights, and then sniff plant by plant and then mapping. So it's very popular, and this is one of the ones that I presented in NASA. They were really interested. They're gonna try to apply it in the Artemis 3 mission that is gonna grow plants on the moon. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that later. So the idea that we're trying to do on Earth is trying to integrate all these technologies and try to do AI agents. So that will be agronomists or AI agronomists. That the measurement in the field will be just to corroborate the algorithms and to try to see if they are performing as they should. But it should be all autonomous. So keep that in mind, because that is exactly what we need to do in space. And we're working with, so it's soil, plant, atmosphere, UAVs or drones and satellites. So that is the satellite, I don't know, it's the Spirit project, it's from the University of Melbourne. So that satellite started acquiring images like a month ago. So they have 2 cameras, infrared, near infrared and mid infrared, pointing to Earth. And there is 1 camera for deep space. So it has a dual application for astronomy and for remote sensing applications on Earth, for coastal forests, agriculture, etc. So this is the first one that was launched in November 2023, and supposedly it's going to be a constellation of around 12 satellites later on. Hopefully they get the budget. So digital applications on food. So that was the agriculture. We do a lot of digital twins. So that is acquiring information from digital sensors. And we obviously ground truth it with sensory panels, humans. And then we apply all the biosensory apps. So that is acquiring the emotional response and physiology response from people from different food and beverages. And then we can target different aspects of visual, texture, aroma, taste, flavors, and overall quality from products without using people at the end. So that will be the digital twin. So we've done it already for different food products, as you can see there, and we work with a lot of companies. So the idea is you measure with traditional analysis methods as well for physicochemical analysis. And then you use the digital technologies that they are cheaper. So that is the purpose of AI. It needs to be a parsimony effect or principle, which from easy to acquire data and cheaply to acquire, you obtain complex outputs. And we work with different companies from these digital twins. So they've been applying it for around 4 years already. So the biosensory app works from your face expression. So it's using normal cameras. So we don't use any other sensors. So we don't put sensors on people. We've been working in this application since 2014. And it's able to do eye tracking, pupil dilation, fixation, extract heart rate from the video, frequency, amplitude, and magnitude, blood pressure changes, body temperature changes, like skin, just with your camera from the computer tablet or your phone. Facial expressions, so there's 8 different expressions and 2 states. And with all those data, automatically we can assess acceptability and liking. So from different products, for example, we already have digital twins to analyze your reaction. So I can put, for example, 6 different beers from top, bottom, and spontaneous fermentation, like a variety of beer, and then you just drink it. and the AI will tell you which one you like the most without asking any questions. So that is a fun application, but one of the most serious applications is for the elderly that usually they have dementia or mental disease. You can't really ask them questions or fill up a form and stuff like that. So as I say at the beginning, 80%, 70 to 80% of the reaction to food is in the autonomic nervous system. It's not conscious. So the reaction for food and taste and everything is still there. So capturing all the reaction and the emotional response, it will give you more information if they like it or not, and how they like it, if they find it bitter or not, or if they like the color, the aspect, and all the stuff. So that is one of the most serious applications. Obviously, but beverages is pretty good as well. So we've done it for a different products. Chocolate is pretty used. We develop models for chocolate, beer, wine, cheese, dairy products, etc. And we develop robots as well. So that is a robotic arm that we developed with Lego in 2014 to assess formability of different bubble or bubbly beverages like beer, sparkling wine, champagne, and sparkling water. And it assesses automatically with computer vision the lifetime of the foam, size of bubbles, it does a count of bubbles, etc. So it can give you like more than 25 different parameters to assess quality of produces. Obviously now we have a more sophisticated robotic arm because when we started, like these robotic arms were like $60,000. So it was a little bit out of our budget, but now they cost like between 5 to 10,000, which is more affordable. And they're really precise. So if you want to do different pouring methods as well. So the robotic, the Robo Beer with the Lego, it was really famous. So we were featured in Science magazine and in Forbes and many other articles around the internet at that time. So it was really popular for some reason. So the idea now is obtaining data, as I say, from the field with robots, sensors, and satellite. So that will be automated, and get the sensor technology for food production to for a certain quality. If you try to go to growers, especially in viticulture and enology, and then you say, we can improve your yields and we can improve your quality, they don't care. Like usually companies, they go to them and they say that, and they lost them straight away, because they're not concerned in improving quality or improving yields or volume. They're concerned in maintaining their style of wine for that region, which is completely different. It's more complex. So then from the field, we do the sensory analysis from the target consumers. If you are targeting, for example, the market in Asia, you need to have consumers like from Asia, and do all the modeling, the AI, and that information goes back to the grower. So then you minimize waste and you maximize the target to a specific market. So that could be completely automated. I proposed this idea. It was the first time that something like this was proposed, which is a circularity of information in agriculture, and that was in a paper in 2021 in Current Opinions on Food Science. Okay, so digital applications for space farming. So this is all the developments that we've done since 2014 fit really well with the Center of Excellence for Plants for Space, because that is actually what we need to implement for agriculture on the Moon and Mars. So the Australian Center of the ARC for Center of Excellence in Plants for Space is $35 million that the government gave us to 5 different universities. The University of Melbourne is one of the partners. The lead university is the University of Adelaide. And with in-kind from 38 different partners, we have around $100 million. So we started, actually that's wrong, so we started last year. So we are around 2 years now. And it's going to finish in 2030, which coincides with the Artemis program to go to the Moon and establish a base in 2030. So basically, they're going to bring the plants that we have to develop in 7 years to produce food, not only food, but beverages, pharmaceuticals, bioplastics, biomaterials, for example, for repair, for 3D printing, etc. So these are all the skills that we identified that we needed for the project, and these are the 5 universities that fit those skills. So you see the University of Melbourne is in plant physiology and sensory science, which is myself and our group. And then different other partners like in US, UK, Germany, France, etc. So you can see all the universities that they're partners as well. And space agencies like NASA, Axiom, which is a space taxi. So we can bring experiments to space and then bring them back and see how the plants react in microgravity conditions. When we started the project, sending an experiment with Axiom, so when we wrote the project is 2022, it was for 1 kilo, it cost $100,000. Now it's $5,000 because the emissions are every week.
So, yeah, because of the scale of emissions.
Yeah. So now, for example, I was in NASA for 3 days, and there were like three rocket launches. From one was for Starlink, like they launched 35 satellites, new satellites, and the other one was 25 satellites to replace the other ones that are getting they need to retrieve or they die basically. So there are vertical farming companies that are really interested as well, because the future of agriculture is going to be vertical farming in space, on the moon and Mars. There is a thing there, I'm going to talk to you later, that I proposed to NASA, and actually they found that it's a really good idea. And then other space agencies like the Australian Space Agency, which is really new, I think it's 4 years young. They started with $300 million budget, which is the budget for coffee for NASA. But I think it was to pay somebody to maintain the webpage. But now obviously it's me. And then different other partners as well. It's around 38. So we started doing a lot of experiments to try to do digital agriculture from the plant cultivation up to the sensory in immersive space conditions. So we used the farmbots. I don't know if you've seen them. It's in the student precinct level 4. So there are 4 of those. So they're automatic farming systems. So there is an arm that is X, Y, and Z. So it takes measurements of every plant. We can put the electronic nodes there and sniff every plant as well, and implement the models that I told you before. And we do measurements. Obviously, the measurements, they were for ground truth, and those pictures were for an article for The Guardian. Actually, we don't have that many people at the same time. And then there is harvesting of the products and then processing in the food sensory lab. And then we do the tasting in immersive space conditions and in earth conditions. So this is example that we did for wine, but we have done it for pick and eat leaves as before. That is the simplest model for food for space. So it's pick and eat. We've done it for processed products like wine, beer, dairies like cheese, yogurt, etc. I'm just going to tell you about the wine. So the wine is, we measure the wine physicochemical analysis through the bottle. So we don't need to even open the bottle to analyze the wine at the moment with the models that we develop. And then we test the wines in normal environment and then space simulated environment. So how you simulate space is you use reclining chairs that is in 170 degrees, which changes your sensory perception as it changes in microgravity. So your aroma perception decreases and your taste increases. So it's like a mini COVID effect in some way. And we use for liquids, we use it's called the NASA cap. So it was designed by NASA to drink coffee in space. And in 170 degrees, if you drink with that cup, it doesn't spill. So otherwise, if you use a normal cup, you tend to lift the head, which alters the experiment. So that is a normal condition. So we use the facilities here in Arts West. which is 180 degrees, like a mini IMAX. And then we project like normal conditions, like a garden or a vineyard. And then is the porthole from the International Space Station. It's actually a video that we obtained from NASA. And they have earphones, so they hear the interior of the International Space Station. We recorded actually the sound of, it's usually the sound of computers and ventilators and fans and stuff like that. So then we do the analysis for different people, and then we can create the machine learning algorithms and models. But now we are advocated, so we do it with the farm bots, but now we're gonna receive actually next week, this is called Clinostats. So it's rotating farms. We're gonna receive 2 of those. This is actually a company from Melbourne that designed this rotofarm, it's called. So we bought 2 of them, and they're really interested in working with us because they hear NASA and then they say, good promotion. So the idea is that when you rotate seeds and then they germinate, it's like they were germinating in space because they don't know where it's up or down. So the gravitropism, you cancel it. And what we are finding is that veggies grown in these conditions, they increase the texture, color, aroma, and flavor profiles compared to earth conditions. Like you use the normal microgreen setting and light. So it improves the palatability and acceptability of the different veggies. So then I proposed this to NASA because I said they envision that on the moons and Mars it's going to be vertical farming, and I said no, you need to rotate it because you improve the quality of the produce. Even though that the moon has 1/6 of the Earth gravity and Mars 1/3, but you're going to improve it in that sense.
How many Gs would this be able to simulate?
This one you don't.
Is it rotating?
Basically, it's microgravity because if you rotate it faster, it's going to be a centrifuge.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. You'd have to rotate very quickly to simulate Earth gravity, presumably.
Earth gravity is.
Not that you're trying to, but if you were.
Yeah, actually, there are experiments to simulate more than one Earth gravity plus. So, but then you need to do centrifuge.
Yeah.
But there are other ones that they are 3D clinostats that they basically rotate in 3 dimensions, and then you can simulate 1/6 or 1/3 gravity of Earth. So I saw NASA, they have the new one. It weighs like 2 tons, and it's like a container like that big square, and it can hold up to 6 kilos of crops, and then they rotate it. But it was all wrapped, so they just receive it. And we have our brand new 3D printer. This is for food, so we can 3D print food. So when we obtain, we grow the plants, then in the Department of Food Chemistry, they extract proteins, carbohydrates, fat, for example. And we can, with those, we have 5 different containers. So we can 3D print like with fat, carbohydrate, and protein. We can 3D print, for example, a Wagyu beef. Obviously, the other containers, they need to have a binder and an emulsifier to bind the meat. Actually, we had the idea, and Japanese colleagues in Hokkaido, they already did it. So, but it's possible. And the good thing is the plate can be heated, so you can cook the meat while it's printing. The other thing is we incorporate the electronic nose inside the 3D printer, so we can assess all the volatile compounds and aroma profiles while it's printing. So we can assess really early if there is a fault or an oxidation process and stuff like that, and cancel the process and try to see what's going on.
Is menu fatigue, is that in terms of creating different foods?
Yes. So the 3D printer, one of the objectives, how we want this project is to try to combat menu fatigue, which is one of the main problems in space exploration at the moment, and it can decrease bone mass. They just stop eating because basically in space, Taco Tuesday is really Taco Tuesday, and so they have a set menu. So in NASA, you have 200 items to select before the mission, and it repeats. From those 200 items, you select only 30%. Because imagine that you get sick before the mission and some other person, the camp is all packed. And then it's gonna have to handle if he was vegetarian, he's gonna handle a crap, so veggies, more menu fatigue. So this is brand new and we are doing different tests and they're coming up really well. The other thing is that the plate, as I said, you can cook it, so you can put different meals. And the plate can be magnetic, so you can, in microgravity International Space Station, you can hold it in a position so the food is not floating. And then we can 3D print also edible cutlery. So then when they eat it, the cutlery, so it's minimum waste. Because in this International Space Station or in space, obviously water is gonna be scarce, so you can't really clean stuff. And I was joking with NASA that we need to have a space mama because they need to tell the astronauts, eat all your veggies or eat it all, zero waste. Because some people, they don't like some stuff. So this is the basic idea. So this is a normal day in Mars. Imagine that it's gonna be like that. So vertical farming, producing all AI agents, as I say, that we already apply on Earth. They're gonna be cultivating the plants. So there's not gonna be a Mark Watney astrobotanist tending the plants. So the only function of tending the plants for the astronauts is for psychological purposes, like to interact with plants. But it's gonna be all automated, and then obviously at the back it's gonna be harvesting, food extraction, as I say, the proteins, carbohydrates, etc., or the pharmaceuticals. Paracetamol, antibiotics, and stuff like that, at demand. And then it's gonna be the 3D printer, the 3D printing food. And then the astronaut can select their menu, and it's gonna be 3D printing. It's gonna be an agent doing the video of the astronaut tasting the food, and if they find something, if the AI finds that something is better for the astronaut, it's gonna change it for the next meal. So it's gonna be all automated. It's gonna be like a hub for food. So that is the basic idea. So so since we started last year, we've been all over the news. My group especially. So we publish a lot of Pursue articles. We've been in Landline. We were featured in the list top 100 innovators in 2024. That is the Guardian that we took the pictures that everybody was working. That was an anomaly. And we've been in Channel 10. I don't like Channel 10, but it was a program for space food. They put actually Matt Damon appeared more in the piece than us because they compare with the Martian. So this is the mission that we are participating at the moment. So it's the Artemis 3 mission. So that is going to be launched in 2027. So that mission is going to be 4 astronauts. 2, they're going to land on the moon with 3 experiments. One of the experiments is the LEAF, or Lunar Effect on Agricultural Flora, which is a container that is it's going to contain light, water, etc. It's going to be automated, and they're going to grow 3 species of plants, which is duckweed, Brassica and Arabidopsis. Duckweed is Wolffia, is like the water lentils. Basically, they duplicate, they increase the biomass, they double the biomass every day, and 50% of the biomass is protein. And at the moment, groups in Adelaide and the University of Western Australia, they already manipulated the duckweed with gene editing, that in a certain range of light, they start producing caffeine. And if you change the light to another range, it starts producing taurine. So that is the purpose that we try to do. At demand, we can transform the plant in an instant to start producing either protein, carbohydrates for food, or pharmaceuticals, or bioplastics. It's been done for duckweed. The only problem is duckweed at the moment, the sensory analysis that we are trying is that it doesn't taste that good. So we need to work a little bit more on that.
Isn't duckweed water dependent as well?
Yeah, so it needs to be like an aquaponics,
Yes.
kind of aquaponics. Yeah. I always finish with this one, which is an ex-boyfriend of Marilyn Monroe. We choose to go to the moon and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. So I always tell to my audience, usually they're plant scientists or agronomy students, that the sky is no longer the limit. So if you want to do whatever dream do you have and you're studying plant sciences, it can be working for space exploration at some point. When I was a kid, I like astronomy. I had telescopes since I was like 5 years old. And I never thought that I'd be working with NASA one day. So that was really good. You can scan our QR code and you can download all our papers if you want. Especially the latest one that is there in ResearchGate is one that we published with NASA 2 weeks ago. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of questions, given that it's a very different form of cultural astronomy than we usually discuss here. Yeah, it's
It's like horticultural astronomy.
I've got questions. I got so many questions.
Me too.
Maybe just like, this is a bit of a broad question, but interested if there's much in your work and research. So the social and cultural relationships with food and plants and, yeah.
So when I showed the skills that we require, one was psychology as well. So that is Flinders University. They're doing a lot of studies on the perception of food and the interaction of astronauts with plants. Also, one of a big part of the charter of the Center of Excellence is the interaction with the Aboriginal culture, Aboriginal elders, and try to incorporate it in all the work that we're doing. So we don't want to colonize or try just scientists going to because many times if you just give it to the hands of scientists, it is not the best results in terms of ecological output or sustainability. So we try to incorporate all artists as well, the vision of artists, poets, writers, and stuff like that, that they can give us a lot of ideas. And actually, we don't dismiss 60,000 years of knowledge from original cultures, especially in sustainability, because my perception is that they've been doing thought experiments for 6,000 years, so you can't dismiss them. Albert Einstein did it for a couple of years, and they did the 3 seminal papers in 1905. So yeah.
Do you know about the recent mission that the Common Project did with, I think, Jaguar Space, where I only know it because some friends were a part of it, and they sent I think it was kind of like cultural seeds to space, and I know about Pakistani wheat, and I think Armenian pomegranate seed being sent. I'm not sure what the other ones were.
Yeah, there've been a few. Actually, when I was in the Kennedy Space Center, they sent seeds to space.
Yeah.
They sent quite a lot of things like insects, beer, wine as well, to try to see the aging effect of microgravity. They sent whiskey. Whiskey is interesting because they send samples with wood, like different samples of whiskey with wood inside. And they send in one of the missions and they retrieve them, they compare it with the Earth control, and they say that the aging amaderization was better in space than on Earth, but they didn't account for the shaking of the mission. So that is basically a cocktail effect.
Yeah.
So obviously it's better. But yeah, no, they've done it. So it was funny because I was doing the seminar and we finished the seminar, and then my colleague received a text and said, the seed went into the mission because it was the last day to put it for the mission to get it as payload. So they've done a lot of seeds tests as well.
I think this one was more, really focusing on the cultural and social aspects and trying to decolonize which seeds were sent. Yeah.
What we're trying to do is trying to get seeds from plants from Australia, that the Aborigines have been cultivating for a long time. So we're trying to do a mission with the Axiom So you just need to send them, see how, you can even germinate it there and bring them back and see how they behave. We can do it in the clinostats as well, so as a first approach.
So if I can intervene here, the vision seems to me one where the food production happens without any human agency at all.
That will be the objective, because as you may imagine, under the tests that they've been doing in the International Space Station at the moment, so there's a program, it's called Veggie. So it's growing food and vegetables in space. But every astronaut, they have they're really busy.
Yeah. Okay.
So so the food production needs to be completely automated in some way. Because at the moment they have it in packages. So when they feel hungry, they just eat. But trying to get crew to tend to the production of I think it's going to be a problem. It's not going to be like the Martian that is going to be an astrobotanist.
No. I'm just thinking that when we talk about food on Earth, don't we try to get away from this kind of industrialized food production to fresh food, to non-processed food? So is there a vision that you can actually get that? Because obviously when you talk about getting wine up there that tastes in zero gravity, it might mean something that, okay, the engagement with food is clearly an important one.
Yeah.
And say, oh yeah, they are very busy. Everybody is busy.
Yeah.
But you can still say, well, you spend 2 hours a day working with harvesting the food.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For example, in space exploration, I will say until 2040, you can't really be picky.
Okay.
And so whatever is available, you need to eat it. So that's the problem with menu fatigue. The other thing is in space, if there is any genetically modified food, if it is available, there is no. I mean, you can say I'm anti-GMO, I'm not gonna eat that. You're gonna die, basically.
Mostly GMO food, or not necessarily?
Probably it's gonna be GMO.
Yeah.
Because fresh. So there are candidate plants that they can do. They are flexible enough to produce not only food, as I say, pharmaceuticals and bioplastics. So they are just candidate plants at the moment that so we can't really bring potatoes and lettuce and onions. So we can do that.
Can I just ask about the scale of sort of the vision here? Like it's the Artemis program, we're talking about 4 astronauts. And I think as the settlement's not designed to grow beyond about half a dozen. Like the lunar base is still a small scale affair at this point. But if you think further into the future, is there any thought given to how this might sustain sort of a larger collection of, I almost might suggest a community of individuals?
So so in the IAC, the conference that I went to Sydney, there were a lot of groups that they were presenting the missions at like habitats. At the moment, the 3 habitats that they have is the Luna, which is 3 by 6 meters. So it's 3 in diameter and 6 meters. So they can contain only 3 to 4 astronauts comfortably, but it's going to be really tight. But then there are going to be other modules, obviously, attaching. And then if you see the other extreme, which is the Elon Musk, that he said by 2050, he envisioned that it's going to be like 100,000 people in Mars, and missions going to be every day. Well, it might be possible. It will be like flights today, like air flight, like 200 people that they fly all the time.
But I was thinking okay, there's Mars, but the moon is obviously the most logical sort of bridgehead in space. So is there an anticipation that there would be a growth in the number of bases that might be amenable to this technology going forward? What are the more visionary plans for the next few decades here?
Yeah, I think the visionary plan will be to coordinate with other nations, because the ones that we are talking about is just NASA.
Yeah.
And the commercial enterprises like SpaceX, whatever, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Blue Origin.
Yeah. But if you consider other, like China, for example, China, they have their own plan, and actually their international space station is going to be in the next few years.
Yeah.
The International Space Station is going to be decommissioned in 2030. The current one, which is failing already.
No, indeed. So is there a thought that that this kind of process actually can make more plausible the existence of a long-term base if you've got these sorts of processes going on instead of having to constantly replenish it from Earth?
Yeah, so that is the purpose actually. So the base on the moon will be the launching pad to Mars, which it decreases the cost of launching missions by, I think, is 10 times what is from Earth. So escaping the gravity of Earth is 70% of the cost of the mission. So from the moon, it will be cheaper to jump to Mars as well. So yes, I think it's going to be a consortia of different countries, and then they're going to try to unify in the same settlement. I don't think that they're going to be like a Chinese settlement.
Yeah, the traditional view is there are different countries supplying, they've got their own settlements, but that's a bit old sci-fi to think that way.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a unified one. We just need to solve a few political problems.
Yeah.
Asha?
How the 3D printed food, how does it compare like in terms of like taste and texture to?
You can actually play with different textures. So it can be from mushy stuff that is the simplest one. So like a potato puree that you can do different textures. But with the heating up, you can actually do like cracking things. Like imagine like a cracker that is gonna be like hollow in the middle, and then you can put cream inside. So it's gonna be different textures so you can play with.
Okay.
So at the moment we are doing really simple ones to try to see the difference in perception in space and Earth as a first approach. But as I say, later we're gonna play with trying to do a Wagyu beef. But it's not going to be like a tofu Wagyu beef. It's going to be actually with meat cells. So one of the aspects that I didn't talk about because it's not in the mission, that's called is Plan for Space. But obviously they're going to do cellular agriculture, which they're going to produce animal cells, and with that one you can 3D print, and then you do a proper Wagyu beef.
Is there any difference in terms of like the longevity of the constituent ingredients once they're like extracted from the organic matter?
Yeah, so there is a lot of studies from when you extract it. It needs to be a shelf life because you can't really extract them fresh and do the produce. It needs to be, we need to consider shelf life and then storing produce as well. So you can obviously have fresh. So one of the candidate plants that we are thinking is strawberries. Because it's really plastic genetically, to like the leaves can be used as a bioreactors for production of pharmaceuticals. But then the actual strawberry, it gives a lot of happiness to astronauts, like the aroma and the flavor. It's the chapter 4 of the Last of Us. Have you seen it? First season, chapter 4.
Or the first episode of Firefly?
No,
The first episode of Firefly.
Yeah, the chapter 4 is the couple that were living isolated, and then one of the presents is he cultivated strawberries that they haven't had for 5 years. Yeah, so that's a concept.
Interesting.
Have you tried any of the 3D printed food? Like, is it edible now?
Yeah, I tried. Yes,
And how is it?
it's fine. I mean,
You're still here. So.
yeah, we tried it with different compounds. So at the beginning, we tried with potato mash and butter, obviously, just to try it. But now we're trying it from extracted compounds from chemistry, the food chemistry department.
Again, that might be an issue about menu fatigue there. If I can reminiscent of my own impression when I went on long hiking trips, had to live on this dried food for 10 days. The first day tasted great. All right, and the last one, I went fasting.
Yes, with the 3D printers, you can do the same compounds. You can 3D print it in different textures, and the flavor and aroma profile changes completely. So it's exactly the same produces, but printed in different ways, and it changes the profile.
Sorry, I've got to
Yeah.
run. It's nice to meet you.
No worries, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you working on any applications of the autonomous agricultural systems in Antarctic bases?
No, colleagues are working on that. Not myself, I haven't, but yeah, they're doing a lot of similar concepts in Antarctica, and they're gonna start doing it in Chile in the desert as well, like replicating Mars, like Martian conditions. Yeah.
As an analog?
Yeah, but with people as well. So people they're gonna live there for like a month, or there is a program actually in US that they started last year that they're gonna live for 1 year in Martian conditions, but obviously on Earth. It's just to try to check all the changes in physiology, health, and psychology. That is 1 year in isolation, and they were selecting people that more than 45 years, I think, because they need to irradiate them as well. So young people, they're more susceptible to changes. I don't know how they pass the ethics, but
Volunteers.
yeah, volunteers.
What is the seriousness of the Martian aspect of this compared to the lunar ambitions to return to the moon? Is it seen as more plausible to be getting back to the moon and maintaining a presence just for the sake of it, or is going to the moon about going on to Mars?
Actually, I think they're gonna settle a lot of aspects of the mission after the 2030, because I mean, if anything fails, they're gonna have to rethink, and it's gonna put the program
So it's a
back
big
10
test
years.
bed, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully nothing's gonna happen. But yeah, up to the Artemis 3 is pretty settled.
Right.
Beyond that, they think that if everything goes well, it's 10 years for Mars, but for exactly the same program. So it's from even the Apollo. So first you send an unmanned mission, uncrewed mission, and then it returns to the moon. The second is you send a crewed mission, but they don't land on Mars, and then they return to the moon.
Yep.
And the third one is landing.
Yes.
It's protocols they need to follow since the Apollo.
Yep.
The Apollo mission.
So it's all funding dependent, I guess.
Yeah, Artemis 1 was crewed by Snoopy. Do you know that?
Yeah.
We've got a question on Zoom here. How do you determine what plants are most viable for the use in space?
So at the moment there are a few candidates. So one that is really flexible is the Wolffia, is duckweed that we're studying a lot.
Yeah, but what are the criteria? How do you determine which ones to use?
It's the plasticity that they have genetically. So how plastic they are to manipulate with either gene editing or CRISPR technology, that you can produce more than the plant. It's just to transform the parts that you don't use commonly, like leaves and stems, to transform in bioreactors, or make them edible as well. So at the moment, there are colleagues in Spain that they already made edible the leaves of tomatoes, but they're tasting it for forage for animals. But it can be consumed by humans later as well.
When you talk about the plasticity for the gene editing, but then also talking about using traditional plants, what about the kind of social and cultural aspects of taking something from traditional use and then completely modifying it so it's something different? Has that been considered from a cultural perspective?
Yeah, at the moment, from all the talks that I've seen in the group and internationally, I haven't seen any plant that they're gonna take to space that is not gonna be touched. Like for example, if you're thinking of wheat, that it can produce flour for bread or any other thing. Even wheat, they're modifying it to produce proteins that they activate the cellular agriculture, the animal production by 10 times. So they already have amino acids that they are produced with modified wheat. They extract it and then they increase the cellular production of.
I was thinking
Meat.
things like themata, kangaroo grass and stuff like that, if we're talking like traditional, like that, as in like Aboriginal or Indigenous cultures traditional.
Yeah, so that is one of aspect that we are trying to incorporate, but I don't think that it's gonna be like producing what they produce only. They need to be versatile because
That's what I mean by doing the editing, is that, have people assessed how that would impact the kind of the connotations and the culture where it's come from? So by having to go in and do that to make it worthwhile to take it as a potential
Yeah.
crop. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think the mentality needs to be like if you think in any plant, for example, you're thinking about 70 to 80% that is waste. So we need to minimize that to zero. So to do that, you need to modify.
Just to follow up on that, so it's quite an international collaboration, it seems like. When you're doing plant selection or plant investigation, is there, do you work with consultants or do you have an ethics process into the plant selection, particularly ones that have cultural significance to different groups? Is that
Yeah.
conducted, and if so, how?
Well, at the moment, we haven't worked on any of the plants that they are culturally significant, but there is a plan. At the moment, they are doing a lot of consultation with the elders to try to incorporate those. But we haven't any plan that is settled to do different trials. But I think in the next 5 years, probably we're gonna start incorporating. And obviously, it needs to be through ethics and how to incorporate in the best way for sustainability.
Do you think this is the biggest project of its kind currently going on
It's the only one.
internationally? The only one,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the only one. The other ones are testing normal plants like the veggie program that has been going on like 5 years. But they're testing because the protocols, for example, in the International Space Station from NASA is they can't bring any GMO product. They need to be just common lettuce, tomatoes. So we at NASA actually this year they put into consultation protocols for GMO products to be sent to the International Space Station just now. They're just looking at it. Even the GMO stuff that we're gonna start producing, we can't really test it on humans. We can imagine that, for example, we produce the wolfia, the duckweed, we extract the protein, the fat, the carbohydrates, and we do 3D printing of food. We can only do with a panelist only visual and aroma, but they can ingest it. But the ingestion, we can model it using digital twins. So we can do the whole sensory process, but we need to have data for that. And we have models already to do it. But yeah, that's a big problem. So the only country in the world actually that we can do GMO testing, do you know which country is that? That they can do any GMO testing that you want. Chile.
Southern Africa.
Not Chile. It's my country.
Oh, well.
Are there a lot of issues dealing with like high energy radiation damage to
Yeah.
genetics?
So that's one of the big issues.
Yeah.
And that's why, for example, we are they allow us to work with plants because obviously I'm talking about wine and beer for space, and that is fermentation. So you need to have yeast or bacteria or fungus. The problem with that, NASA has the problem that it mutates really fast with the cosmic rays.
Yeah.
So they didn't allow it. So that's why we work with plants, but obviously fermentation is gonna happen. So because even though that you're not gonna bring yeast or bacteria or viruses, astronauts, have you seen that in Europe they do beer. So they actually the brewer, they have the malt and he put the beer. So it's actually the yeast and the bacteria from his beer. And he produced actually, which is fine. I tried. If it is 4.5% alcohol, everything is dead. So
Maybe not that.
fine. There are beer from all the body parts, but I'm not gonna tell you from. Those are in Germany.
Sorry. How do you
Sorry,
deal with it?
to answer your question, so one of the aspects that they're trying to do is in the IAC in Sydney, they were doing a lot of prototypes. So one of the prototypes was a suit that is water based. So it's water, so that is a big shield for humans. And the other one is the extreme one. They were doing a process with like packaging feces and urine. And then they do a process that they create like a kind of clay from fecal matter, and then they plaster it on around the habitat. So they plaster it, and then you can see the processes. So at the beginning it's plastered like a third, then a half, and then the whole thing. And that is a big shield. It's a really good shield for cosmic rays. Shit. Yeah.
Isn't there someone working on using mycelium to create like sort of a mycelium lining because or like working on like mushrooms because
Yeah.
that can also absorb quite a bit of radiation?
Yeah, what I saw in NASA, one of the experiments they were doing sporeless mushrooms. Because it needs to be sporeless, otherwise the Last of Us. So, but yeah, so they were doing sporeless mushrooms for eating. But I don't. I think they were using it also for pharmaceutical because it's a really good bioreactor for pharmaceutical aspects as well.
There was Flavia, I don't know, what's Flavia's last name?
Dr. Flavia.
I'm sure she's been in contact with Plants for Space, but just sent mushrooms through SpaceX, I think.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the way in which like mushrooms can absorb a lot of radiation, also the onami, how that
Yeah.
aspect's important, nutrients, vitamin D. And it seems like there's a lot within mushrooms. And yeah, is that something that Plants for Space have been looking into much or not really?
Not really, because we're based on plants.
Yeah.
So it's
It's a hard boundary.
Different kingdom of life.
yeah, the mushrooms.
Yes, I know that, but like, you know.
Mushrooms are a really good idea. So basically, it's 99% water. So it's just a water shield. Yeah, water is the best shield for uncheap, as I say. There was one. I don't know if you're squeamish, but there was it was really interesting PhD student that she's from. Europe somewhere, France. She presented a talk that is about menstruation in space. Oh, it's really good. How to use menstruation as a fertilizer for plants or any other aspect. So I say to her, you need to write a popular book about that. You will be famous. I will read it.
But currently, women are required to be on pills to like stop their menstruation while in space. That.
No, not really.
Yeah.
They are.
But I think they have caps as well, so extractors, yeah.
Extract.
It's a cap thing. Don't ask me how.
I'm fairly sure most places, I don't know about commercial, but national organizations, astronauts are required to be on birth control so they
Yeah.
don't menstruate.
Cross that bridge, and then we can use menstruation.
Yeah.
How do you deal with like? So we're talking about like pathogenic microbes, you don't wanna bring those up. You still wanna have beneficial microbes for like plants. I don't understand, maybe this is like a basic question, but how do you ensure that when you bring a plant to space, for example, what's the actual process to make sure that
Maybe get seed form.
you're making it safe essentially? Yeah, is it just seed, does it get
Well,
irradiated, do you?
yeah, there is a big process of like a kind of quarantine from the plants that they do in Beijing. So that before taking it to the International Space Station, they need to be in quarantine. So they need to be it's like generations in that process. So there is like a cleaning, and then I think they do a kind of irradiation as well before sending it. So they're sure that everything like bacteria or everything else is not sent. Obviously, there is something, so they have diseases in space. They have mildew ones in lettuce. So yeah, you can do as much, but yeah, it's not 100% proof.
And then you have the risk of other things mutating because of the changed conditions.
One interesting aspect, so this is from last year, I went to Houston, so the NASA in Houston, and there they deal with all the food production. So that is in Texas A&M. Actually, NASA subcontract the University of Texas to do all the food production and irradiation of the food, so they have shelf life indefinitely. So actually, one of the previous director of the food program, they had to get rid of cans that they were from the Gemini mission in the 60s.
Wow.
And just for curiosity, they opened it. So they opened it actually and tasted it, and it was fine. And as small as it was 60 years. Yeah.
I think there's a question online.
Yeah, there is one that's very much towards this question, whether there have been any investigations into psychological effects of having access to familiar foods versus rations, artificial.
At the moment in space, no. We have done some of it on Earth in space immersive environments, but in space they haven't done not even sensory tests.
Not even, I would imagine Army with expedition, particularly Navy.
In submarines, yeah, in submarines they've done it. And that is a really big problem because when the astronauts, the 30% they select, they need to taste it, but they taste it on normal Earth condition, like sitting down. And then we prove already that the taste and flavor, aroma and liking is gonna be different in space. So probably the taste it tastes really weird.
Yeah, well, even on a commercial aircraft, when you're. It's very different in taste than the airline's menus, literally cater for that.
That's due to the cabin pressure. Yeah. We did an experiment for wine and sparkling wine. Actually, you get drunk quicker in the plane because the absorption of alcohol to your bloodstream is quicker. The other thing is never go hungover in a plane. Because the effects,
Like you're the pilot.
the effects, they exacerbate the.
That's because of humidity in the cabin or lack of humidity, dehydration, is it?
Yeah, but it's mostly pressure.
But pressure is a big factor.
Is it a thing that only Anami isn't affected in space?
Which one?
Anami?
Umami.
Umami, thanks. I always struggle with that word. Umami's that's the only taste that's not affected in space.
No, actually there is a decrease. There is a decrease of aromas, but in wine we found that the chocolate aroma is enhanced for some reason. So we need to test that. And the other one is in taste. Like bitterness in beer is perceived less bitter in space conditions.
It doesn't saltiness also go down?
Yeah,
And
saltiness.
sweetness then, did you say increases?
Increases, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, saltiness and saltiness increases, bitterness decreases.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because you need to modify the beer for space. Carbonation is a big effect as well. So in microgravity conditions, for example, sparkling wine, it will go to your nose. So the level of carbonation needs to be lower. So for beer, we found that like a British flat ale is obviously not warm, because that's disgusting. But a British, the carbonation, you increase the perception of bubbles. So even if it is flat, a little bit carbonated, you perceive it as a lager.
I know we've been talking about beer and wine, and obviously that's very important to astronauts, but I just wonder about things like tea and coffee. Is that, what's the experience for astronauts must consume these things, I assume?
Yeah, actually the 3D printed cup was designed for coffee in space.
That's what I
To drink
thought.
coffee. But it's the
Sippy
same.
cup.
Bitterness probably is the decrease in coffee, as I would imagine that is the same effect. We haven't done coffee at the moment, so probably later.
Is there a process that you go through in terms of determining what foods and drinks to kind of experiment and push forward? Does that come from like astronauts' experiences, or is it just like the researchers, or you do sort of public surveys, or is there a certain sort of social element to that?
At the moment, we are playing with different products. Not mainly because we're interested in beer and coffee, wine. Because we don't have yet the producers from the plants that they're gonna be for the long-term space missions. So at the moment we are playing with different foods, but we are creating the models. So later on, when we have the actual produces that they're gonna be GMO, we can analyze them just with the digital aspects. So we don't need people to test it. So that's why we're doing pick and eat leaves, which is the simplest model. So we started with that one. Then we started with dairy products. Dairy products is something that you can get from cellular agriculture in space, and it's gonna supplement calcium. So there is a big loss in many fatigue and in zero gravity conditions. We experiment with beer, wine, something else. But yeah, we're just randomly doing different products by interest. Like wine and beer is really interesting because for commercial space flights.
Yes.
So if you are going around, you pay $250,000 to go around the Earth, and you want to celebrate, so, like a bubbly or a beer at least.
We were at IAC as well a couple of weeks ago. There was a Japanese space tourism company talking about their beer that
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
working on. I think it's like.
So we saw them. So they
Yeah, with
because
the
we
strips
presented
on.
a poster, like a interactive poster,
Yeah.
and they came all to the poster, and we talked to them, and they gave us the cards. The guy has been astronaut for a few missions,
Yeah,
and they're producing a beer for space. Yeah, for commercial.
it's fun.
So we got the contacts, and they were with the suits. Like,
Yeah, a warm one.
With you say how the reduction in bitterness, and I don't know how true this is, but like I was always taught bitterness is kind of a taste that we have to help us detect poison or unpalatable food. And if then that's decreased in space, obviously with GMO products, you're aiming to not have anything that could be poisonous or whatever, but it's like, it's kind of affecting like a core attribute that we developed, as a species, to prevent us from eating the wrong food. So
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but that's what I've heard. So that's why kids really hate bitter, because it stops them from going and eating random shit they shouldn't. So
Yeah, sugar's very bitter.
yeah, but you know what I mean, like with
No, I know.
like natural sugars and stuff
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like bitter almonds and stuff with the high
Yes.
cyanide. And
Yeah.
Bitterness is an evolutionary trait, as you say, but many people is not sensitive to bitterness. So in those terms, they should be dead. But in those concepts.
Because I mean, then you've got the other end of it, which is super tasters who have their other, where they have extreme sensitivity to bitterness. So
I'm not. I don't know if I'm a super taster, but I don't like IPA. I like lagers.
Brian is not here.
Something I don't think anyone's asked, are all of these projects, do they have the vision of providing 100% of the food and beverage needs of a base or a crew?
No, I think the program is for the Artemis for the Moon and Mars is still depending on packed food.
Mhm.
So at least
Still
at the beginning-
experimental in that sense.
At least at the beginning, so then they can test the growing of the products and stuff like that. So
But is the hope eventually, if you've got a long-term
Self-sustaining,
base,
yeah.
that it's going to provide every need, so you don't have to ship stuff from Earth,
so it needs to be self-sustaining.
self-sustaining, yeah.
in that long-term guide, I mean, we're ignoring all the law that has to be sorted out for like space law and everything. But there was the talk about how, like disposal of human remains on the moon can be quite a sensitive issue for Indigenous cultures. So, I mean, you don't want a soil and green situation, I guess, but it's that kind of like, what do you?
No, you don't.
No, but like how are they going to, like if they're thinking of long-term habitation, obviously people are going to die, there's going to be generational, and then like the cultural aspect of how that's affecting like how people perceive the moon. And then obviously like it's going to take a lot, but if it becomes more and more and more, then you're going to alter how the moon looks. That will take a long time, but and a lot of infrastructure. But it's that kind of like the cultural ramifications for that, for the people back on Earth eventually.
You may want to talk to the people at the moment at University House, the HBS group that works on death technologies, because there are plenty of technologies to dispose of human remains without any traces down on Earth. I'm pretty sure you can.
Talk to
Yeah.
Hannah, talk to Mike.
No, but it's more that kind of, yeah, that concept that
Symbolism.
it can be, while it doesn't impact the people potentially there,
Yeah.
what about the people back on Earth? So,
It'd be very cultural
Well,
experience.
that'll be. Yeah, there was an interesting project that I saw 15 years ago at UTS. There were students that they asked the exact same question and how to dispose bodies. Specifically, they're gonna need to be ashes first, and then they were trying to see if they can do materials with those bodies, like usable materials, like a memorabilia frame or whatever.
Sorry, Kevin, we might need some fuel for the converter there.
Sure.
Um,
Well, you can save it for the Halloween, for the break.
You started the talk by talking about food waste on Earth and take it to be even broader framing. Are there any ways you envisage your research on plants and food for space for having repercussions on agriculture down on Earth, or the way we can work with food, or?
Yeah, so that was the idea of the project. So, and that was one of the main questions that we needed to answer to the panels. Why we are thinking of spending money to go to the moon and Mars? We have plenty of problems here on Earth. But actually, the answer was when you start solving problems of agriculture in space, you generate a lot of usable things for Earth to combat climate change. And one of those is minimizing waste. So that is the recyclability of information that I say from the grower to the consumer, and then going back to the grower to target that specific need. You minimize waste probably by 20% already. So it can be, the main thing is in agriculture on Earth is an open system.
Yeah,
That's why there is so much waste. In space, it's going to be a closed system. So then you can obviously minimize that aspect. But if you try to think how to close the system on Earth as much as you can with information, you can minimize the waste by a lot. Instead of 40%, it's going to be like way less.
is there any difference between planning for a base on the moon in a 1/6G environment and some sort of space station, large space habitat that might rotate to simulate gravity?
Yeah, actually there was a mission, I don't remember the name, that they did plant growth in a rotating, so they simulated different like moon and Mars gravity. But yeah, that's one of the ideas to try to see if we have many problems in microgravity that is in the trip.
Yes, during the trip.
Yeah, so it's 1.5 years to Mars. So then you need to have a gravitational to simulate the Earth conditions, for example, and produce on Earth. Yeah, we don't know. Actually, the Artemis 3 program that I told you, the LEAF, the Lunar Effect of Agricultural Flora, is going to be the first time that we're going to grow plants on the moon, and then they're going to retrieve 500 grams of those plants to Earth, and some of them, they're going to come to Australia. So the University of Adelaide and the University of Western Australia, they're going to analyze it, La Trobe as well. They're going to analyze gene expression and all the stuff. So it's going to be the first time that we're going to have hard data on what's going to happen at lower gravity. We have no idea. I mean, we can replicate it on Earth, but yeah.
But you'll be able to simulate different gravities that way.
Or model it.
I'm a bit surprised Australian quarantine has plants from space in.
That's right. We're very strong.
Yeah. But if there are no further questions, then thank you again, Sigfrida, for this fascinating insight. Yeah. So we just mentioned Halloween, so the next seminar will be on Halloween. Very different ones. Jack Murray and Sam Hain will talk about telescope training.
Training?
Telescope.
Telescope training. Hi, Jack.
Hello, you all get to follow my instructions next time.
Oh, okay.
Except we usually reflectors, we won't see the vampires.
No, that's right, because they won't appear in them.
No.
It'll be a refractor.
It's got to be a refractor, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, Jack.
I'm assuming most people, or a good portion of people here, have experience with telescopes. Dwayne's asked me to do this so that we can all be, so that the physics department can like formally check us all off of being experienced with the telescope so that we can requisition them at any other time.
Competence testing. I didn't realize. Okay. Your simulator?
Night sky
Thanks, Jody.
studio.
Which one's that? It's the moon.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, good. Otherwise.
Thanks again.
That's good.
Actually, I'm